Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and it's time to find some Eidolon fragments, I guess we can call them. Well, this area is going to have random encounters, so we'll quick check up on everybody's equipment. Right. Yep, I'll move Zidane up to the Mithril Armlet and have him learn Bug Killer. And we can check out the Eidolon Vest, which teaches Stone Killer and Bird Killer. We haven't encountered any Stone-type enemies yet. We will later, though. And yeah, I'll have him equip the Mithril Vest to finish learning auto... No, I'm actually going to have him equip the Eidolon Vest because he's already learning auto potions from the Gold Choker. Let's actually quick check how close everyone is to leveling up. Okay, so Dagger will, will level up soon, the others will not. So switch VV over to the Bronze Vest to learn Jelly, and otherwise leave him the same. Okay, the bandana's good. That boost to Spirit will be nice, because we're finally at the point where Dagger's Spirit stat actually matters. For those of you who are wondering, we've never seen Dagger's trance ability. It actually has to do with summoning. So, having a higher Spirit stat didn't matter for most of the game up to this point because it wasn't realistically possible for us to use summon magic, but it is now. And the Kashusha, I didn't realize, actually boosts speed, so we have a second speed boost. Let's see. Let's go with Bird Killer, we have Beast Killer, Steel Gill. Protect Girls is finally relevant again. And let's go with Alert so that we can't get ambushed. And for Vivi, we have Loudmouth and Insomniac, because I believe there are enemies here that inflict sleep. And let's go with Clear-Headed to get immunity to confusion. Vivi finally actually has passive abilities. Now let's see if this Moogle has any mail for us. He does not. Alright. He does want mail, though. Now, the first piece of the story is actually back where we started, but it won't appear unless we leave the area and re-enter it. But if we come back here where the cliff is... Historian's explanation. Although Joseph's death was not reported to his daughter, the manner of his death speaks for itself. This is the story of a true hero. Whoa! Spoilers, fragment! That part is called Hero. We have 4 parts to go. I also, it's kind of a nice touch that even though Zidane, who is normally our field representative, is in the party, Dagger is the one who's actually visible on the field right now. Because this really is her thing. It's actually something that really annoys me in hindsight about Final Fantasy X, is that when you're going through the Cloisters of Trials, Titus is still the party's field avatar when it really should be Yuna, because she's the one who's supposedly actually doing the stuff. So, like, the first time in Besaid it makes sense because Titus is actually your only party member at that time, but all the other times Yuna is in your party, and since this is meant to be a test of her abilities, she really should be the field representatives. Alright, that's the end of that rant. Now let's kill these guys. They look surprisingly familiar. It's almost like we fought them before. I suppose it kind of makes sense for them to be here. And that one got finished off by a white mage. The Indignity. Yep, Dagger leveled up and learned a few new abilities as well. Looks like Vivi will level up in the next battle, so... Mastered the ability she was learning from the bandana, so I'm moving her up to the mage's hat. Let's go with the Bronze Vest, keeping the Kashusha because it teaches ability up. And I can, however, get rid of the Stardust Rod. Let's go with the Air Racket. And for Vivi, trading the Mage's Hat for the Bandana because his speed is so much lower than his magic. And switching him to the Cotton Robe because magic is still more useful than spirit. And keeping the magician shoes the same. Alright. And we found another fragment. Once upon a time, 33 small countries fought together against an empire. One day, a rebel troop visited a man named Joseph, who lived with his daughter. Owing a debt to the troop, he gladly accepted their plea for help. They headed for a cavern in the snowfield. That's beginning. There are 3 to go. And there's also some treasure for us to find. And we can jump off here, but first I want to see what happens if we have a random encounter. Well, what happens if we have a random encounter is that we fight a group of enemies. And it's a Zagnol. Remember those? Yep, the boss of the Festival of the Hunt is a normal enemy now. Of course, this time we can actually kill it. Zane's HP looks a little low. It is a little low. I'm gonna quick heal everyone. Ow. And apparently the healing spell isn't even going to get off because we killed it. Yeah, we're a little bit stronger now than we were back in Discord. Okay, now it is both Zidane and Dagger who will level up next battle. But before I do anything with that, if we go down this way, is this a fragment? No, it is not. There's 3 left of me. Are you going to give up? No, I am not. But that you can talk to that guy and give up if you want to. I actually have never given up and don't really know what happens if you give up. But in the meantime, let's change up some equipment. Right. Okay, Zidane gets a bandana. And then the chain plate. And the Draminos boots. Dagger gets... Okay, only one of them can equip the bandana. Who has the higher speed? Their speeds are very similar. Zidane's is slightly higher, but his speed stat also matters more. So I'm actually letting him keep the bandana this time. Can't really improve on the Mithril Armlet. However, the cotton robe will be an improvement. And the Kashusha is still the best we're going to get. The other reason to let Zidane keep the bandana is that Dagger can equip the Kashusha, but Zidane cannot. And so she can benefit from its speed boost. Alright. But, let's jump down here. And she actually opens the chest automatically. I didn't even have to do anything. And we get a Mithril Armlet. And we found another fragment. On their way home, they fell into a trap set by a traitor. Joseph gave his life to save the troop. The troop left without telling Joseph's daughter, Nellie, about the tragedy. That's silence, with 2 to go. And yep, that chest may be visible from this screen, but it isn't accessible from this screen. It is accessible from here, though, along with another fragment. With Joseph's help, the troop defeated the Adamantoids in the Snowfield Cavern and acquired the Goddess spell they needed to enter the Empire's castle. That's cooperation. You have 1 to go. And, having seen all of the fragments, and we received the Ogre, if we didn't already have it, having seen most of the fragments, admittedly out of order, those of you who played Final Fantasy II, either the original version or the Game Boy Advance version, this story might be sounding a little familiar to you. That's because this is actually a description of an event that happens in Final Fantasy II. It happens relatively early, it isn't really much of a spoiler. But it's just kind of interesting, they're actually making a nod to one of the earlier games. It's especially interesting since when Final Fantasy IX was first made, Final Fantasy II hadn't even been released in English yet. And we have a new enemy type, I'm not sure what the Seeker Bat. I'm not even using Blizzara. And yeah, Vivi is not immune to the darkness status effect, because there's no reason for him to be immune to the darkness status effect. It only affects the accuracy of physical attacks, which he never uses. These Seeker Bats are a bit more durable than I expected, though. And this time it missed. I don't recall whether or not I equipped Zidane with Bright Eyes. And, you know what, Vivi, just finish him off with Blizzard. And that is how we do that. Shuffle around the equipment a little bit. Admittedly, I'm not actually shuffling the equipment around very much. Actually, I'm not even equipping her with the Desert Boots to learn Scan. She can learn Scan from one of her weapons. But we have one last fragment left to find, and a chest to open. Found a Mithril Vest. I believe we already have one of those. I could have sworn the fragment was over here, but apparently not. Yep, I have actually managed to forget where one of the fragments is. Well, let's see if I can find it. Because this isn't a fragment. This is a random encounter. This is actually kind of an interesting thing. This area gives us an opportunity to kind of get Dagger up to speed. As you'll notice, she's several levels behind Zidane and Vivi. But this area, which isn't particularly dangerous, relatively speaking, gives us the opportunity to get her back up to speed in terms of level. And I'm gonna have Vivi just use Blizzard twice on the thing, and if it survives, I'm gonna have Dagger heal everyone again. Yeah, I didn't really think it would survive that. $420 experience. And Dagger's already ready to level up again. This time I am taking away the bandana since Zidane isn't about to level up. And 1 point of speed is more valuable than 1 point of magic, at least for now. Alright. She's all prepped for leveling up. Now let's see if we can find that last fragment. Could have sworn there was one around here. That's where I remember it being, but... Ah, there he is. Yeah, I remembered there was one hidden on this screen in this lower area. Here we are. Alright, Historian's explanation. The fact that they didn't report Joseph's death to his daughter was indicative of their guilt for failing to protect him. In the end, heroes are also human. That is human, the last piece. And now, we go back to the incarnation of Rama that we saw earlier to turn in the 4 pieces. Oh, did I say 4 pieces? Yeah, there's another aspect to this puzzle that we'll get to in a moment. And yeah, he doesn't have enough MP for Blizzara, so I'm having him use an Ether. We have plenty of them. And Cure on all again, because I can't seem to keep everyone healed right. Well, I mean, they're healed well enough, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to healing people. And I'm just really reveling in the fact that we finally have a white mage. And Blizzara on all enemies. And this should do it. I guess it didn't do it, but that finished the job. Yep, keep the mage's hat to learn Loudmouth. And keep learning Auto Potion, just for completeness. And there are a couple of routes over to where we turn these fragments in, but I feel like taking this one. So, you found all 5. Let's hear the story. However, the story comprises 4 parts. One of them doesn't belong. Be sure to choose only 4. Alright, let's do this. And they're listed in the order in which we found them. Well, the first part of the story, not too surprisingly, is beginning. Once upon a time, 33 small countries fought together against an empire. One day, a rebel troop visited a man named Joseph, who lived with his daughter. Owing a debt to the troop, he gladly accepted their plea for help. They headed for a cavern in the snowfield. Beginning. Yes, I choose beginning. The second part is cooperation. With Joseph's help, the troop defeated the Adamantoids in the snowfield cavern and acquired the goddess's bell they needed to enter the Empire's castle. The second part is cooperation. The third part is silence. On their way home, they fell into a trap set by a traitor. Joseph gave his life to save the troop. The troop left without telling Joseph's daughter, Nellie, about the tragedy. And the final part is either hero or human, which really comes down to how you interpret it. Either Joseph is a hero, because while the troop didn't report his death to his daughter, that's not really important. The fact that he sacrificed himself to save others makes him a hero. Alternatively, for human, the fact that the troop did not report Joseph's death to his daughter indicated that they felt guilty for failing to protect him. That though he may have been a hero, he was also human. I'm going to go with hero. Let's recite your story. And then he reads back the entire thing in order, beginning, cooperation, silence, and hero. Are you satisfied with your choices? Yes. Let me ask you one thing. How come you chose hero for the conclusion? People follow a person who keeps on track. That's why I think a hero who acts in a straightforward manner is remembered for generations. I want to know what you think, in your own words. Me? I am away from my country, but I haven't forgotten about my people. Your soul is very tense right now. Maybe you'll begin to relax once I become your Eidolon. Thank you. There are many paths. Remember that you alone choose the path on which you walk. And we receive the Peridot. Maybe now. Let's go to Lindblom. Hey, old man. You're gone already? What's wrong? I wanted to ask him why he made Dagger play such a silly game. Heroic? Human? Those are just things people say after the fact. Why try to give meaning to what the main character of the story chose? I think the old man would have become her Eidolon either way. That's the impression I got. And it turns out Vivi is correct, actually. No matter which option you choose, whether you choose hero or human, he will become your Eidolon. Zidane! Vivi! Let's go! You're exactly right. It's not what the people say afterward. What's important is being true to oneself. She may not have realized it, but when she wished to learn how to use summon magic, the summon power returned to her. Summon magic can be used for good or evil. She is still young, but there is room for growth, so I chose her as my master. I'll be watching over her. I hope you two will also protect her. Yeah, of course. Look, it's Lindblom Castle. I don't think we can turn back once we jump off. What do you want to do? Well, I'm actually going to jump off later. Once we jump off, it'll kick off a fairly long stretch of plot, and it'll kick off a fairly long stretch of plot that will be locked into for quite a while. So actually, that would push the video to being over long, and we've pretty much reached a natural breaking point. So this is going to be the end for this video, with one exception, which is that I'm going to demonstrate summoning. Now, summoning is essentially an ability, just like any other ability. So we equip the Peridot, and that gives Dagger the new ability, Rama. It also teaches Thundera if you have Vivi equip the Peridot. But for now, we're equipping it to Dagger. And let's get in a fight. Here we go. And of course, it would be a Zagnol. We're running from this one. The problem is the Rama summon causes lightning elemental damage, and Zagnols absorb lightning. So it would be completely pointless to use Rama against this guy. So, okay, now let's have a fight with an enemy that doesn't absorb the only element of summon magic that we have. Come on. Come on. Alright, hopefully this one won't be a Zagnol. Okay, good. 2 Seeker Bats. This will be a perfect target for our demonstration. I'll just have Zidane steal from them. And we got eye drops, appropriately enough. And now, instead of selecting white magic, we select Summon and choose Rama. And the ability name is actually Judgment. And we see a rather long animation in which Rama appears and hits these guys with a rather prodigious amount of lightning. Well, that did a lot of damage. And that, dear viewers, is summon magic. It is quite cool. There's also another mechanic related to summon magic that also relates to the precious stones, like the Peridot, which I'll explain a bit later. But for now, I know this video has been a bit shorter than usual, but this is going to have to be the end for this part. As usual, I love you all, and I'll see you next time when we finally return to Lindblom. Thank you all for watching.